NATO's Washington summit draws to a close today, there's clearly tremendous resolve among many of our allies to make the transatlantic alliance fit for purpose for another 75 years. But a strong and effective NATO has always required strong and effective American leadership. And here at home is reason for cautious optimism that support for leadership on collective defense is widespread. Last month, the Reagan Institute released the findings of its latest poll on the American people's views of global issues. Mr. President, here's what it found. A majority of Americans support a more engaged U.S. foreign policy and hold favorable views of the NATO alliance and support lethal assistance to Ukraine. And despite the media spending years amplifying views from the fringes of our politics, a majority of Republicans believes that U.S. involvement in international events benefits America. When asked recently whether peace, prosperity, and security were products of American leadership and sacrifice, listen to this, more Republicans than Democrats actually agreed with that. Here's the kicker. They're not just telling this to pollsters, they're actually demonstrating it at the ballot box. By massive double-digit margins, Republican primary voters have picked candidates who supported the National Security Supplemental earlier this spring. Let me say that again. Not a single Republican incumbent who voted to help America's friends resist authoritarian aggression and rebuild the arsenal of democracy lost their primary. Not one lost a primary. Across the country, voters rejected fringe candidates who peddled isolationist pablum and voted instead for American leadership. The way Speaker Johnson put it earlier this week, he's had people come up to him at events in 31 different states in recent months to say the same thing. We're glad Congress delivered the supplemental. So, Mr. President, it can often seem like the loudest voices in Washington are the ones that bemoan the responsibilities of American leadership while enjoying the peace and prosperity it underwrites. But these voices are increasingly estranged from the views of most Americans. The American people know instinctively that leadership on the world stage isn't some handout to allies and partners. It's an investment in our own security. They know this leadership is what preserves a U.S.-led order that has underpinned peace and prosperity for decades. Now they just need a president who's willing to exercise that leadership. For years, the American people watched the Biden administration dither and wring its hands over fears that standing with a sovereign democracy might invite escalation from a tyrant who was already conducting a full-scale war of conquest. Since last fall, they've heard the president insist in one breath that America's commitment to a close ally was ironclad, and then withhold urgent assistance in another. It's well and good to talk about American leadership, but talk is cheap. This week would have been a great opportunity for the Commander-in-Chief to start backing up his words with firm commitments to start investing seriously in hard power. It should have been the week the Democratic leader brought the NDAA up for Senate consideration. It could have been a great week to lead.